Welcome to Customer Success Matters, the podcast where we delve into the importance of ensuring customer success is at the heart of your business and the effect it can have on your growth. I'm your host, Jo Rogers, and every couple of weeks I'll be providing short, concise, thought-provoking insights to help you transform your retention and growth of clients. Here at Customer Success Matters, we bring you over 20 years of client management, both from an agency and client perspective, pulling on our own real-life examples, as well as interviewing relevant subject matter experts, all to provide you with the tools and knowledge on how to service your clients at a premium standard, build an exceptional client services team, and ultimately grow your business. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any episodes, and follow us on LinkedIn for more updates and behind-the-scene content. Now let's jump into today's topic. I'm really pleased to have with me today Ellie Hale, Director of People and Partnerships at Ecce. Hi Ellie, thank you so much for joining me on Customer Success Matters podcast. It's so great to have an opportunity to speak to you, and even more so on a topic we're going to cover today, which is on women in leadership roles in agencies, something which is close to my heart and I've had a lot of experience with. Imposter syndrome is a common challenge many face, particularly women in leadership roles. Could you talk about a time when you've experienced imposter syndrome, and how did you overcome it, and what advice would you give to others feeling the same?
Absolutely. I think imposter syndrome is something that I probably encounter daily to a degree. I'm a mum of 2 young children, as well as being senior in an agency. So I think there's often times where I doubt myself, I question myself, I wonder if I'm doing the right thing. I question my instinct as well. And I think the way that I've really learned to overcome it is to talk about it and to be open about it and to listen to other people's challenges. So the more you hear about it, imposter syndrome is, like you said, it's so common, and especially with women. And a way that I have tried to combat it myself is to address it face on. Have a look at, hang on, what is it I'm actually frightened about? In fact, I did a post on LinkedIn just now about coming on the podcast. Years of experience working with agencies. I now work within an agency. You're talking to me about what it's like being a woman in an agency, and my gut feeling is to think, oh, bloody hell. Like, what can I possibly talk about? What expertise have I actually got about it? Well, I've got bloody years of it. So to question it, to acknowledge it, and to tackle it head on has really helped me. As well as looking up to other brilliant women in our field, in our industry, and having some really open, candid discussions about what we're afraid of, what might happen, looking at what the worst case scenario is. And the thing is that it's never going to be the worst case scenario, and whatever it is that we're frightened about, or that little imposter on our shoulders making us feel frightened about. So that's been really key with me, tackling it head on and having strong female leaders around me to talk about it with.
And I think that's really interesting, and a really important point actually there is that piece around surrounding yourself with strong women leaders that we can look up to, the next generation of women can look up to. And it's why it's so important in agencies that they understand this and give women the platform and the confidence and to feel like they have a seat at the table, isn't it? It's so important that they do that, because you're setting that precedence for the rest of your teams below them, that there is space for them, that they are accepted, that they have value, and that they are wanted in those senior leadership roles.
Absolutely. And it's something that has got to come from the top, and it's something that has to come from the male and the females within any agency. It can't just be something that women are always championing. The men in agencies also have to be championing it. I was having a conversation this morning about the very same thing. And women also have to be cheerleading other women. There seems to be, and you would, Jo, you would definitely have come across this in your agency experience. There is this trend for wanting somehow to keep women who are bright stars, who are up and coming, keep them in their place, let them be worker bees, keep them in the position that they are. Don't offer promotion, don't offer pay rises, wait until it gets to the situation where they've almost got to beg their case. And stories that I hear is it's often women in senior leadership roles that are keeping the more junior women in their place. And I've racked my brains for ages thinking about why that is. And I think it's because there historically have been so few seats at the leadership table, that we've still got that sort of fight or flight instinct ingrained in us that women are competition to us. Women are foes, not friends. And instinctually, we don't embrace and cheerlead and raise women up as we should do. We like to kind of bitch and we niggle and we keep them down. Can you relate? You're nodding.
I can relate so much. What I find fascinating is that we all sit there and immediately assume it's the men, exactly like you said, that they're the ones that are holding it back. But absolutely, I've been, I hate to say it, in numerous situations where I've been working alongside a colleague and, we're moving through the ranks and then suddenly it changes. And suddenly that relationship seems to change, and then they seem
dynamic shift.
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's somehow seen as, well, it's now you and me fighting for probably the lone place at the table, and now it's no longer you and me together as a partnership. It is me trying to get that place over you, rather than there being more opportunities that the both of us could be at have a seat at that table. And it's not in my natural instinct to climb over people, to pull people down. It's just not part of who I. So when I remember it happening, my first agency, when it first happened to me, I was shocked by it. I really struggled with trying to understand why was I being made to feel like my job or what I've experienced and what I've brought to the agency for years was no longer good enough, because someone else had stepped up and had sowed some seeds and things like that. And it's really sad to see. And it has progressed through my career. I have seen it on numerous occasions that women that have a very strong desire to move up the ranks don't look to bring people with them. They look to squash, to make them, to elevate themselves.
Absolutely. I've seen it client side as well.
And it's really sad because ultimately, sorry, Ellie, I was just going to say, ultimately what you find then is that they're the ones that are in those senior positions. So they don't have that right mentality to then support the next level of women coming up. They're not the right people to be representing what we need, which is women supporting women.
Absolutely. I've seen it client side as well, though. I've been in massive pitches where perhaps there's been another female on the panel in final pitches, and it becomes this sort of face-off almost, because there's, I don't know, the defensive mechanism kicks in even in that scenario with two strong females. I think it's a really odd dynamic, and it's one that needs to get called out, and it's one that needs to get shut down. We need to have a nurturing instinct. We need to have a growth instinct, because it's not about just us as individual women. It's about women in general in the workplace, especially in agency land, which is still so male dominated. So if we can create a landscape where there is equality, there are people that are questioning this, there are people that are pushing this agenda, everyone's going to benefit from it. We are 50% of the population, for God's sake. We should have the same rights and opportunities in work.
And just going back onto your point there, which was really interesting that you brought up about the fact that on the leadership side, it's very male dominated. But actually, if you look in agencies, it's actually a very female dominated culture. It's by most people are females that are in client services roles. And actually, when you sort of look at that ecosystem, the workers in the agency are generally female. It's a higher percentage, but that doesn't translate when it gets to leadership.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I've held a women in agencies event before, and we had a male agency owner on the panel, and he said he was really proud to say our agency is 50-50 split. That's really important to us. It's 50-50 gender split. All the men are in leadership roles, but that's just coincidence. And I was like, hold the phone a minute. There's absolutely no way that is coincidence. Mm-hmm. So why is that happening? Where are the blockers within the culture of your agency? Where is the lack of career development? Whereas the lack of somebody in a managerial position looking at your team and thinking, you've got real talent, what can we do to cultivate that?
Absolutely.
What can I do? Is it about confidence building? Is it about some public speaking? Is it about having an intern working underneath you, perhaps, to build on those managerial skills? I think, especially in agency land, we rely too often on people's core skills and almost accidental promotion. You know, that's why you end up with people in really important senior roles in agency land without any clue on how to manage people, or how to manage a team, or how to manage. They were fine managing 10 clients, but what are they going to do when they've got to oversee a roster of 50 clients and 5 account managers underneath them? That's where I think it's falling down.
Totally. There's no training and development. I don't understand this in an agency world where people have to, especially client services, have to wear so many different hats. There's no training. And then they move, as you say, into managerial roles, or they move into leadership roles, but they're not taught how to manage. How do I get the best out of my staff? They're just left to figure it out.
Yeah, flounder.
And that's just, I don't understand it in my opinion, in an industry where I think it's so important, it's not even focused on at all. The other thing which I thought was that you talked about, Ellie, which popped into my head was, why is this happening? And I do think a big part of this also comes down to flexibility for women who are mothers, because that always becomes an issue, whether you've taken maternity leave and then you've come back, so you've had a period of time out, perception, and also the way that women mothers are perceived of their ability to be able to focus, concentrate, prioritize when they have children to also manage and look after. And I know what you mentioned.
Because we're mothers, all of a sudden, all ambition has gone out of the window. Our career plans have gone out of the window. And also the capability that we had before we became pregnant somehow seems to have gone out the window. Absolutely. It's madness. If anything, I mean, oh my God, I'm finding it incredibly difficult to stay awake with a 1-year-old that's teething and a 3-year-old that's having nightmares. And yeah, I might be forgetting things and might not be as on the ball, but also have got like a laser focus that I've never had before. A wealth of empathy and understanding for the team that I work with, for our agency partners that I work with, for the clients that we work with. So as a human being, I'm a better one. As a mother, I'm a better one. And as a senior member of an agency team, I am a better one because I am a mother.
Absolutely. And that needs to be appreciated so much more. And we shouldn't be held back just because we've had children. I think, as every mother would say, I think we're super women with what we do, and still having the drive to want to have a career, but also want to be mothers and want to be able to, we do everything. We are juggling a million balls, but we should be able to still progress and in our careers and have those opportunities while still being able to maintain being a present mother.
Absolutely. And it has to start with the agencies looking at their parental leave policy. So it's great that so many are offering enhanced maternity packages, but what about enhanced paternity packages? And what about really making sure that the men within your agency feel confident in taking shared parental leave, that they are entitled to by law, and feel supported by their employer and feel supported by their colleagues to be able to have that time with their family? Because if it's just left to the women, we're never bloody going to have workplace equality, are we? Because you just simply cannot do all the things all the time. We have to have support from the fathers of these children that we're making, if we're going to have any chance of having a career also. In our family makeup, my husband is the main caretaker of the children. I'm the key worker. That's the way that it works, and we're very lucky that we've got that dynamic. My children are very lucky to spend so much time with their father. but it's not a dynamic that is talked about often. It's not a dynamic that's applauded. It's not a dynamic that is celebrated in the way that it should be.
No, completely. And here's hoping that times will change, but at the moment it's still seen as the woman's role. And I mean, you hear these quotes all the time, don't you, about men walking around with a baby and everyone's like, oh, well done him for doing this and well done him for doing
He's
that.
such a great dad.
Yeah, he's so good, isn't he? And it's no one ever says that to the woman that's walking, on the phone, working with the strap to the child, doing the shopping at the same time. That's
how
just
often do
expected.
new dads get asked about how they're juggling the work-life balance?
Yeah, I know, it's madness, and it's important that we talk about it. It's important that it's highlighted, and it's important that agencies and any company continue to support women in being able to have the right level of opportunities and have mentors and senior women in their companies for us to be able to aspire to and to influence positively those next generation of women coming in to agencies or other businesses, to be able to know that there's opportunity and that they can have both. They can be a mother and they can have a career at the same time.
100%. And on that note, my door is open. If there are any women that are in more junior roles that are looking for a bit of advice or have recently become pregnant and don't know what landscape they've got to navigate, I am 100% open to having chats at any time. I want to be the cheerleader, and I'm going to be the cheerleader.
It's amazing, Ellie. And same from my perspective as well. I think we've got to stick together and we've got to keep on supporting and keep on helping and ensuring that we start to see a really good change and a positive change. And that comes, as you said, from the top. It has to come from the top. They have to start to realize what they're missing out, not having their leadership team equally split with women. Because they are missing out, because we're awesome. We're super women.
We are awesome. And it's diverse agencies make more money. Like, that is fact.
Yeah.
That's just fact. You'll be able to service your clients better. Diversity of gender, diversity of ethnicity just means diversity of thought. And having diversity of thought within your agency will make your agency stronger.
There you go. Anyone that's listening right now, take that little piece of advice and start to make changes. So if you were looking forward now, what changes do you actually hope to see? And I mean, we've talked a lot about why we are where we are, but what do you see in terms of women's representation and treatment in leadership roles? What can they do to contribute to that change?
Changes can we make? My advice would be to any women in junior roles is don't wait. If you're a good little worker bee, it's very rare that your employer's going to come and offer you a pay rise just because you deserve it, unfortunately. So don't be afraid to ask for pay rises. Don't be afraid to ask for promotion. Don't be afraid to, when you have your appraisals, look at what career development there is, what career progression there is, any advancements in education, what courses are available that you can go and what budget there is for training for you. This might be something that you have to push for. This might be something you have to ask again and again. But that would be my advice. Don't be quiet and don't just wait. Another thing I would advise is always be able to demonstrate your worth. This isn't the same as proving yourself. I think we as women feel we have to prove ourselves. A promotion might get dangled in front of us and we have to constantly be proving ourselves to get to the next stages of our career. I would say instead try and flip it and always be ready to demonstrate your worth. So what value have you been adding to your agency and how? What changes or improvements have you made to your agency and how? What clients have you brought? What revenue have you brought? And always be ready to demonstrate your worth and back it up. And I think that will help you rise through the ranks of agency life quicker and hopefully get the recognition that you deserve. I would also say grow your network. Having a network of other agency bods who get you, who understand you, who support you, who can share opportunities with you is vital in any personal development. I'm a massive fan of networks and communities. I've got one personally, like around the gym. I love the theatre. I've got a mum's one. I've got a charity one in my local community, as well as a really strong agency network. And they are the ones that will hold you, help you, support, and teach you.
And I know that you're part of it as well. Mums in Marketing is one that I'm part of, and it just validates your feelings so much. Sometimes when you see, I'm part of their Facebook group, and you've got people posting up there the challenges that they're finding in their company. Maybe they've, noticed that there's a pay gap. Maybe it's that, they're being asked for something unreasonable, or it's outside of their job spec, or they're expected to take on more work, but they're not being acknowledged for it, or, anything like that. Not saying it's a good thing that they're finding those challenges, but
no, but we must talk about
women.
it. We can't be gagged as women. We can't be gagged for
Totally.
fear of being whingy, moany, shouty women. We need to talk to each other about it. Otherwise, how do we possibly know what the benchmark is?
Completely.
Same as with our salaries. If we don't know how much our friends are earning, how do we possibly know if we're onto a good thing or not?
Yeah.
Keeping things secret holds us back, I think. And openness is how we're going to grow. The same as if you're interviewing, do not ask a woman what her previous salary was on. It's absolutely irrelevant. Instead, flip the question and ask, what are your salary expectations for this role? It doesn't matter what you were on previously. Don't use that because suddenly, oh, she was only on 24 grand, so we'll just keep her on that. You don't know why anyone's had a career break. You don't know what they've been doing. You don't know what's happened in their lives. It's irrelevant. Look at the talent that is in front of you. Look at the opportunity to grow that talent.
I was just talking about that with a friend of mine, actually, who had she's just moved up in the company that she's in, and she identified that, and because she got to a senior leadership role, she identified the gender pay gap in her company, and she called it out. And she called it out to them, and she was like, "This is not okay. You cannot be paying these women that." And I'm so pleased to say that they acknowledged it and they've changed it, and they
amazing.
are,
Good on her.
amazing on her, and amazing on the company. Well, I mean, they should be doing it in the first place, but at least they're actioning what she's highlighted.
Yeah.
We were having this conversation, as you've just said there, which is I've had it probably in every agency, where you're asked, what was your previous salary? And it shouldn't be that. It should be, what are the salaries that you're paying your counterparts?
Yeah.
And that's the salary that I should be getting, is what my counterparts are being paid. What's the value of the person that's coming in here? Not how cheap can I get this person for?
Yeah.
That's
save a few
not
grand?
okay. I mean, I had a scenario many years ago where I was being paid, and I was senior at this point, and I had someone brought in below me to work in my team, and a man, and he was being paid more than me. And I flagged it and I said, this isn't acceptable. Why is he being paid more than me? I'm his boss.
Unbelievable.
And they gave me an opportunity to get to his salary, not above it, to get to his salary, but only by bonuses. So I had to hit targets
to prove yourself.
To prove myself.
Constantly
and at the time, I was still fairly young at the time and naive.
Yeah.
And I just accepted it. And I look back on it now, and it blows my mind to think that that scenario was okay and perceived as okay, and that I had to be that person's boss, knowing that they were, but also that they knew that I knew that because I saw everyone's salary, because I was their boss and I was doing their reviews.
Unbelievable. One other point that I would really like to make is, if you do rise through the ranks and get promoted within the agency that you're working for, don't be so grateful for the job title change and maybe a salary increase that you forget to renegotiate the terms of your contract. So when you're more senior within an agency, the contract terms should change, the notice period should increase, and maybe some other tweaks. You might want to renegotiate an enhanced parental leave if there isn't one. You might want to negotiate private medical care if it's not offered. Don't be so grateful for an opportunity when it's given to you that you forget to be strong and powerful and renegotiate other contract terms.
I think that's a really good point, Ellie. Really good point. And it comes back down to the thing we talked about at the beginning of this imposter syndrome and, feeling like you should be grateful that you've been considered or grateful that you've got the job and sort of accept everything that you're given, because thank God I've been one of the lucky ones that have got that senior position. It's the self-belief, have that grit. You fought to where you've got to. Believe in your ability, believe in what value you can add to the agency, and get what you deserve.
Absolutely.
Don't feel like you should just accept.
Yeah, practice gratitude because it's a lovely state of mind to have, not because it's our default position as women.
Yeah, well, a nice way to end that. Thank you, Ellie, for taking the time out of your day to chat to me today about what I think is a really, really important topic. And to be honest, I think that we could probably spend the rest of the day chatting about this and sharing experiences and everything. But I think that I really just want those that are listening, whether you are an agency owner, maybe you are looking at building out teams, or maybe you're a bit more established and you've already got a leadership team and you're kind of realizing that maybe it's not as diverse as it should be, and actually start to realize that you've got some absolute powerhouse women in your agency that you need to start to nurture and bring up the ranks into your leadership team, because they deserve to be there, and to be showing the next generation that there is absolutely opportunity within your agency. And if you are working in an agency, know your worth. Know your worth. Know that you are hardworking, you're reliable, you're loyal, and that you absolutely deserve a place at that table, with no prior judgments, prejudice, or any imposter syndrome rearing its head. That you are absolutely have a place there.